We'll see it. All right. So here, number 4 with Dusty Grant. How's it going?
It's going good, man. How you guys
Yeah,
doing?
we're good.
Pretty
And
good. Pretty
you were
good.
just right before we locked on, you said, where are we from? So we're actually in London, Ontario, Canada.
London, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah,
That's
we're
awesome.
near. We have to usually hone it in like near Toronto, about 2 hours away from
Yeah.
Toronto.
So how's the weather in Toronto today?
Cold as
It's
balls.
cold as
Cold as
balls. It's
balls.
getting cold too. We're having a polar vortex, is what they're calling it right now, going
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
So I think by the end of the week, we're supposed to be going down to like minus 15. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's cold.
You're in Wichita?
Yeah,
You're in
I'm
Wichita,
in Wichita.
right?
Yeah, Wichita, Kansas.
Kansas.
It's 25 degrees Fahrenheit here today. Windy as shit, gloomy.
Yeah.
So it's pretty terrible here as well.
Have
you
you
have any
ever
snow
heard
down
that?
there? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that?
Have you heard about vortexes before and like
No, we don't have polar vortex.
polar vortexes? Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty exclusive.
The biggest thing we have in Wichita is like insane winds. Like sometimes because there's nothing and it's like the flattest place on the planet. So like the wind blows like 800 fucking miles an hour. So like you'll be. Can I say that on this?
Yes.
yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like I'll be. I just want to make sure I'm just f-bombing right when I come in.
That's fine. Yeah. Go nuts.
It's all good.
I'll go outside for work and I open the door and the wind's just like.
Oh shit. Eh?
I'm going back in.
Actually, talking about that for work. So is music is that your job, or do you have is this kind of, because I know that I saw that you did this 20 years you've been playing, right?
Yeah. It's I'd like to say it's my second job. I do have a career that I've been in for quite a long time, but music is something that I've always kind of done full time also. The only way that I've been able to do it is just to kind of do it when I'm not working and things like that. Because I never wanted to take the approach of just going broke to do it. So I kind of wanted to build, and like in my situation, I'm married, I have a family, and I have to have something to support them. So like my music is a separate thing from anything else. Like I try to not take money off my family's plate, for my music thing. I try to keep it self-sustaining. But the dream would be to play music for a living. But right now I'm not fortunate enough to do that I do it full time, but I'm not fortunate enough to get paid for it full time.
Right, yeah. I mean, and that's really where we are at. We both have families, same idea. We both have careers, and that was the reason why we kind of started this podcast. Was number one for us. Well, we can't play gigs because of the current situation. We're actually in an emergency lockdown here, where we're not even supposed to leave our house. Because of COVID. So, we had to come up with a different strategy in terms of us getting up, but also then we were like, we can't play with anyone. So how can we meet some other artists and that? And I mean, I saw you on obviously on Twitter there and heard some of your stuff, and that acoustic rock, it resonates with me anyways, because I'm an acoustic guy. I play acoustic. That's how I kind of start any song that I've written, or at least even if Andrew sends me something, that's how I go for.
Yeah.
But that acoustic rock is it's beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
It was the same thing for me. I was doing like about 40 gigs a year. So I was working full time. I've got 3 kids that live with me, one kid that lives with her mom. I work full time and I'm gigging a lot. So like for about 40 to 50 shows in a year is about what I can swing. So I was doing about 40 to 50 shows. I hit, I think, 7 states over the last about 3 years since I started as a solo artist. I really don't feel like I found what I was looking for until I went solo, actually, which is kind of strange. But I was the same as you guys. I was gigging and meeting people that way and networking and growing. And then COVID hit, obviously. And I'm like, okay, so how can I continue to build? Because I'm going to go freaking crazy if I don't have something to, I'm the kind of guy that if I have free time, I'm unhappy. I don't like to have free time. I like to be busy. I like to hit the ground running when I wake up, and I like to, burn it at both ends until I go to bed. And so I started doing this stuff, and I got this weird idea to do a podcast with a buddy of mine. We started doing it, found a producer, and then his schedule changed, and I was like, I want to keep doing this. I found something cool. Like I'm shocked at how much I enjoy doing the podcast stuff, because it's something that I'm doing like bi-weekly now. And I'm wondering, like, when I start getting offered gigs, am I going to want to give up the podcast?
I must admit, like, I mean, Andrew would say it, but I mean, we've been playing music since March of essentially last year together, and started doing this and started playing music. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, maybe we should run a podcast just to promote our music at first. And then I said, you know what would happen if we could just kind of reach out to some people and actually bring them on? And now we're both kind of like, we really don't want to forget about the music, but this is really enjoyable. We really enjoy this.
And then, there's amazing networking opportunities doing this too. Since I've started doing podcasts, and just having you guys hit me up, and me, like, I hit up people the same way you guys do on Twitter. Right. However I can find them, people that I think are interesting or somebody that I think's cool. I don't really care if they're big or not. If I see somebody that looks interesting, or if it's a friend of mine that's wanting to promote something, I'm like, come on, let's talk about it. And I've found that since I've been on camera more, and you find yourself doing all these episodes and you have to fill time. So you don't really have a choice. You've got nowhere to hide. You have to let people in a little bit more about yourself personally, and you get to talking and you start to share your opinions. And then you figure out, like, man, I'm finding that people are engaging with my music more now because I think they're getting to know me, and I'm not just sharing links on Facebook or sharing links on Twitter, or
because that gets old too, right? And we actually spoke about that in the first podcast we did. When it becomes interesting to people, like, oh, it's just music, and then it just becomes kind of like spam to them, like another fucking link, another just song. And this is why we thought this would be fun, because you're right, as you said, we show more of ourselves as opposed to just these assholes that want you to hear their music. But yeah, and then we've worked the last, like he said, last year almost on this album, and then the album's done. And we were talking yesterday, and I was like, I don't think I played bass in like 3 weeks, man. Like, we're just like pushing it. Everything we do is like, oh, I talked to this guy today. It's all we're doing is like kind of promoting, trying to get more, trying to run this thing. So it's been a weird transition, very interesting. It's been a blast. Yeah. So I'm happy that you like and this is a perfect example of what a podcast can do. Like, you're super south from us right now, right? Different country.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we're here talking about, music that we both do. We both write, and it's super cool.
I found a ton of people on Twitter, strangely enough. Like, I've had guys on from France and London, and I have to have them on a Saturday because I have to figure out the time difference.
Yeah.
And now I'm like learning all the time changes. I'm like, oh, he's in CES. That would be 7 p.m.
Even I said that to you. I go, okay, you're CST. We're EST. Okay, it's only an hour. That's not bad. That's okay. Yeah. We can do that.
Exactly. And then now I'm starting to figure out the time zones across the pond. So I'm like, that would be 7:30 p.m. CST. But that would be, 12 a.m. GET Mountain.
Oh, God.
Now, it's funny you say that. So, like, across the pond, I know that you're the single Up From Here. That was the first song that I heard after I was talking to you. And actually, I heard the song before. It ran through one of my playlists, actually. And my buddy said he's pretty sure he's heard it too, because he recognized your name, which is interesting. It goes to show you,
wow,
how far it can travel, and in terms of what you listen to, and those algorithms, I guess, do work. I guess that's the good thing.
It's shocking to me. I like the one thing I've been thinking about Spotify lately is, like, it used to be this thing, like, where I was just hunting streams, and that's all it was about for me, and all that stuff. And I still think it's important for you to do that. I think you still have to put yourself in the best position to get those streams. But if you're looking at Spotify as like a source of revenue for you, you're pissing up you're pissing.
You are.
It's not good.
No,
like, you can't fund shit with Spotify streams unless you're some mega artist, which, you have to have somebody backing you with hundreds of thousands of dollars to push you to all these curators. The way the thing is, like, I kind of feel like Spotify is almost becoming radio, but it's accessible radio for indie musicians. So there's this weird
dynamic almost happening
where there's a chance you can hit a home run, man. You get on the right playlist and the right person hears you and puts you on their playlist, and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, you've got it.
Yeah. I like with Up From Here, I was shocked because one day it ended up on the one of the algorithmic playlists. It was
like one of the New Rock or one of those.
Yeah, I think it was Discover Weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was sitting there, and I, every morning or whatever, every other couple of days, I check my stream counts and I check all my stuff, look at my analytics, like, how'd things do today? And I woke up one morning and there was like 900 streams, you know, in one day. And I was like, oh, that's
crazy.
fucking error. That's an
Yeah,
error.
and I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, does it
Yeah.
make you go, oh, goddamn, a bot? Now I'm gonna get banned, and you know, these are
Yeah.
gonna be all taken away from me. Exactly.
I'm gonna sign out and I'm gonna sign back in because I think this is the wrong fucking account, you know. And I signed back in and I was like, holy shit! And then I looked, and my first instinct was a bot, because I did have contact with some people that were playlist curators, and you know,
You got to be
if
careful.
someone's like, hey, buy me a coffee and I'll put you on my playlist.
Yeah.
If they have 100,000 followers, dude, is it worth $2 to find out if you can get 100 good streams off it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it
I
is.
mean, Jesus Christ, we're fucking independent artists. Let's talk about how hard it is for us to get our shit out.
Right. Exactly.
You know, there are these services that exist, and some of them are legit, some of them are not. You don't really know. And so to have something hit on there, I was like, this has got to be bullshit. And then I looked, but it was getting a bunch of saves. You know, I noticed that it was getting saved and it was getting added to people's playlist. And then I noticed that I was getting followers, because I will admit, when I first started releasing music, with my very first track that I put out there, I was completely naive, you know, had no idea, but and that's how you learn. But I uploaded it. Some guy contacted me. I was like, oh, that sounds like a good deal. You know, I think I threw the guy $50 or $75, and all of a sudden I had all these streams on one of my songs. And I was like, oh, okay, is that how this works? You know,
yeah,
but I didn't
pay to play.
I didn't get any new followers. I didn't get any engagement of any kind. Like,
right.
So
I think that's the big thing. And that's the big thing for any indie artist that even listening to this, or just anyone that, you know, actually, and I read your post today, actually, that it was essentially on this topic. I think you posted something along, you got to be very careful on who you follow. And then another girl on that I was reading up on, she goes, it's actually not the best thing to do to your favorite indie artists is to keep playing them over and over again, because they can actually lose streams that way if they think it's a bot. One thing would be, I mean, we're on Bandcamp, and I don't know if you're familiar with that. Are you familiar with Bandcamp?
I had a Bandcamp and quite frankly, I got overloaded with platforms, and that one was getting the least traffic, so I cut bait on it.
And you know what's funny? It's and I said to Andrew when I first, and I've got a couple Canadian artists that I follow religiously that are on there and do well on there, but I think, and I don't know, maybe it's me, but I feel like it's almost a Canadian thing that people go to more so. I mean, one of the reasons is I think they're 85%, right? Every time you buy something, you get an 85% kickback, which is huge for an indie artist, right? Whether it's merch. And I mean, you sell your own merch, I think, on your own website, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, which I had questions about the merch on your website.
Yeah, that's right.
It's I went to your website, and your website's super professional, and it looks really great. But I went to your merch section, and I was like, you sell t-shirts, which is awesome, and then koozies. And I was like, what got you into the koozie thing? Because that's a genius idea. I was like,
it was a fucking marketing ploy. I'm a marketing guy. I'm in sales.
Okay.
And I have a degree in marketing. So I like analytics. I like statistics. I like all that type of stuff. And I was looking around on one of those like Vistaprint or whatever it was, you know, that makes all this shit.
Yeah.
And I was online one day in the afternoon when it was slow at work, and I was looking, it's like foam koozies. How much can you make a custom one of those for? And it had a little template, and I dropped my logo in there. I was like, you can buy these for like, you know, 71 cents a unit.
Awesome.
Or it was some insanely cheap thing. I'm like, I can either sell these for $2
and still,
or just give them out.
Yeah.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Because if you're at a fucking show and some dude has your fucking logo on his beer all night,
absolutely.
Would you pay 71 cents for that kind of exposure? So that's
100%.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
So I just ordered a fucking shitload of them. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give them out. When my family comes, I'm just going to give them 20 of them. When people come, I'm going to give them 20 of them. I'm just going to hand them out everywhere and just spam them.
Yeah. That's a really great idea.
It's just a stupid thing. It's like one of my buddies here in town who's they're in a real heavy metal band. They started making weed grinders.
Oh,
okay.
Shit.
Yeah.
You know, like custom weed grinders with their logo on them and shit, and like with their hashtags and stuff on top. And it's like I think they made 50 of them and they were sold out of them in like 2 days and they were selling them for
Wow.
$25 a piece or something. I'm like,
Holy shit.
why
Yeah.
didn't I think of that?
Thinking, I know, I didn't just go,
Holy
and of course
shit.
they're buddies of yours, so you can't go ahead and copy that one.
No, not at all. Because in Wichita's not a huge town, man.
I was just
I'd
gonna
buy
say, you
someone's
get-
shit.
Hey, they're not our buddies. I'm gonna make some.
Yeah, you guys are far enough away. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah.
Another one is sunglasses. You can
Yeah.
make
Really?
like the cheap Ray-Ban sunglasses.
Oh
They're
yeah.
not actually Ray-Bans, but they're just the plastic ones.
Yeah, Ray Boone.
Get them with your logo on the side,
Side,
and the per
Ah.
unit cost is like
there's nothing, right?
free. I mean,
Yeah.
compared, and if you sell half of them for $5, you'll sell a bunch of them in the summer.
Yeah.
And then in the winter, you just give them to people. If you're mailing merch out, you just throw them in there
Right.
as a little bonus or whatever. And people are like, I got some dope shades.
Yeah.
And then picture and post it on Instagram, and you're
That's
like,
it. Yeah.
dang,
Yeah,
fucking-
yeah.
that
That's
was
right.
worth more than the 70 cents I paid for it. you
Yeah.
know?
That's right. Absolutely. And like you said, I mean, it's how to promote your brand, right? Really what it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure that out. But yeah, that was interesting. When Andrew told me about the koozies, like, oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
brilliant.
and I'm trying to think of what the next thing is going to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know what
You
it's
don't know.
going to be.
Snap, do you
because-
think snap bracelets are going to come back by chance?
Maybe
Yeah.
so. But have you seen these things lately? I have a massage therapist. I've been nursing an injury, and she told me about this thing. I think it's called Bobble, maybe BOBBL or B. It's an app, but you put a little thumb thing. You put a little sticker on your thumb, and like if someone comes up to you and they're like, "Hey man, I really liked your music," you're like, "Hold your phone up," and you put the
Oh my
little
God.
sticker, and you just tap their phone, and it puts all your social media stuff in their phone.
Wow.
Oh,
That's cool.
And I
so
was just
smart.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mind blown right there, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Wow.
it was just an easy. She's like, it's just instead of carrying business cards, I just tap it on their
Oh,
phone.
it's so smart.
They got
That's
all
so
my
smart.
shit.
I feel like that would have been super convenient, like pre-COVID.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now it's
Ain't
like
nobody
lights,
gonna
all
let you
that
touch your
shit.
phone.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I have I always have a mailing list thing for my email newsletter, and man, getting people to sign that thing even at live shows, like they'll buy a t-shirt from you and buy a sticker.
But they won't give you your
No, they won't give you their email. So like emails are like gold, I guess. I
Yeah.
guess
Which
that's
is
why
so
there's
funny. It's so
and how
funny.
many people check them? Like, do you guys do an email blast for your band stuff?
We
yet?
don't. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. I mean, we've been just using it just to promote, our like just to send out on our behalf. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was
So,
it.
so I think two things that I've had success with, and like I'm never afraid to share things that that work for me, because I almost wish like somebody would have done that for me. I almost wish
Absolutely.
someone would be like, when you started your website, what were the bullshit things and what were the good things or whatever. And like I've noticed it's hard to get people on your email list, but if you start crafting good emails and start figuring out how to do it and not just be spamming with links constantly like we were talking about earlier, like
Yeah.
you can get a pretty engaged click rate on your email list,
your email.
significantly more than like an Instagram post or something like that. If because those people are raising their hand and basically saying, hey, I like your shit enough to sign up for this.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
like,
it's a good point.
You don't have to feel as guilty about spamming them.
No,
And then, like,
that's true.
When you're doing booking inquiries, like when I'm sending booking emails, when I was sending them from dustygrant@gmail.com, crickets. But you send them from dusty@dustygrant.com,
Yeah.
Totally different story.
I'm like, because I always thought that was bullshit. As an indie artist, every blog and every online article you read is like, get your own website and your own domain. And I'm like, why would the domain name of an email address matter at all?
Yeah.
And sure as shit, I started sending emails from my own domain, and I was like, that is baffling that people actually care about that. But if they
I guess
do,
I guess it just makes it more legitimate to them, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's one of those things, right? They're not looking to necessarily even go and find out if you're legitimate, right? But if they can just see in that title that, yeah, that must be, rather than at a Gmail or at a Hotmail or whatever it may be. But as soon as it's at your website's name, then it has a little bit more legitimacy for it.
it's like, yeah, maybe like the same effect of like a college degree. Like they don't necessarily care what you actually got your degree in.
As long as you have one.
Yeah, they just wanted to see that you could apply yourself towards something shitty for like, because dude, let's face it, college sucks.
Yeah.
And like I went to college and I hated it, but like, you know, I think I couldn't have got the job I got without having that degree.
Right.
However, I didn't learn anything in college that prepared me for my job.
Right.
You know, but I think it shows a certain level of dedication. And if you've got your own website and you're serious about it, I think that resonates with people. Like it provides some sort of authenticity or something, you know. I've noticed a difference since I started doing that. But
that's really interesting though.
It worked on me. It worked on me when I invited you to the Zoom call.
Yeah.
I was like, his email's Dusty at Dusty Grant. It's his name. Add his name. I was like, what the? So it worked on me. I was like, blown away, man. Like,
there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. It's
so while you were saying that, I was like, I was one of those people who was impressed by that.
Well, I wonder, you know, I always wonder, like, because I think sometimes people that aren't independent artists or whatever think some people are like a bigger deal than they are. So like if I send someone an email from Dusty at dustygrant.com, my friends are like, so is that you? Or is that like somebody on your behalf emailing? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
It's my secretary.
You think I can afford to pay somebody?
It's one of my kids, actually.
Yeah, that's my manager and publicist managing my image. Like, no, of course it's me. I couldn't think of anything more clever to call it. So I mean, it's pretty fucking unoriginal. It's my name at myname.com. You know, like,
that's so good though.
But for some reason, like, you're talking to him. Who's the boss? It's me. There's only one of us here.
That's hilarious.
What's your following like, man? Because I mean, I saw that you have over 110,000 streams.
Yeah,
now, we're happy with like, oh, we got 100 today, and like we're like over the moon. So I
was the same way. I was the exact same way, and that algorithmic playlist I mean, it like Up From Here I think my other biggest song was in the 20,000s, which was a fucking mind-blowing thing for me. But it got on the same thing. I put out a video and somebody watched the video, and it was I put a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of money into that video.
Is it Chester?
It was Done So Much.
Oh,
Done So Much.
But so somebody saw that video, liked it, put it on their playlist, and before I knew it, I was like, why am I getting 400 streams in Latvia?
Right. Yeah.
It was somebody over in Europe or somebody over in in that area, and they put it on their list, and they had a huge following on that playlist. And I was just like, okay, crazy. But then I started noticing that I was getting a few new Twitter followers, a few new people on Instagram or whatever from those areas. So I knew that somehow it organically had caught on to somebody somewhere. But it's like, dude, we're all just shooting, hoping that something goes in.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and it's funny you say that, because do you get a lot of support in around Kansas? Is that like, is a lot of it just US based, or we're finding we're getting a lot of love from the UK, from Europe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, USA is definitely the biggest for me. My biggest streaming areas are areas that I've toured. Like Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, Colorado. Those are, but then I have weird stuff like Chicago is my number one streaming market, and I've never been there.
Wow.
Denver is my number 3, and I've never been there. I've been to Denver once, and I'm sure nobody remembers me from it. So it's been strange because my hometown is like, I mean, it's in the top 10 for my streaming markets, but it's not number 1.
It's not number 1, which is so interesting
because I've played tons of shows here and had good crowds here, and traveled around this area, and some of the areas where I've never played, never met a fucking soul, I'm getting a bunch of streams from those areas.
Yeah.
So
it is
happens,
really who knows,
weird, man.
If we could bottle it, dude, we could start a business. You know what I mean?
No kidding.
Because I think there are people, and I think there are legitimate companies out there that you can pay them to service your music to curators. And I think they're legit curators. And if you get on there, they're real streams. But how do you discern which of those companies are real or not until you do it?
I would almost guess that it's like probably 3 to 1 between like the fake crap and then the real ones, right?
Yeah,
at
least.
Yeah, and that's a how do you find that out without getting screwed a bunch of times, right? Or
yeah, and then like what I've been finding out is like if I do see one of those sites, like I'll go on Reddit and I'll look on like subreddits about is this service legit, and then there'll be fucking 50 comments down there, and if 45 of them are saying, you know what, it's legit, it's expensive, but it's legit, I think you can count on that it is, because we're all in those subreddits to help each other too.
Right. And there's enough people out there to call somebody out.
Exactly. It's just like us as independent artists on Twitter. You know, I would never be talking to you had it not been for Twitter, you know, and now we'll probably do more stuff together just because we've made this connection. And it's just, you know, I kind of lost where I was going with it, but
no, it's all good, but it makes sense though. I have a question for you though, because like I said, I love the acoustic rock, and it's something that I started acoustic. And who are your major influences? Where did you get that kind of dark acoustic rock in there?
It's Jerry Cantrell is probably my favorite artist. I like Alice in Chains, you know, they're probably my favorite band. And Jerry Cantrell's solo stuff is probably some of my favorite stuff out there. I don't know why his stuff has resonated with me for such a long time, because I was listening to Alice in Chains. The grunge era really influenced me heavily. And then I come from a metal background, so some of the lyrical content you'll notice is not your typical singer-songwriter type lyrics. You know, they're a little deep, a little darker sometimes, and a little bit more, I'm trying to write almost in like an active rock format, you know, in that style, I guess, but trying to adapt it to acoustic, because I do love metal and that's kind of at my roots. But I would definitely say Jerry Cantrell and Alice in Chains are probably my biggest influences. And
then were you in a band before you went solo then? Is that what made
I never went solo until I had twins. So I started playing in bands when I was 19, you know, rock bands, rap metal bands, metal bands. And I had a metal band before I went solo that was, you know, relatively successful. You know, we opened some big shows and stuff like that. That band didn't make it. I did another metal project, and then we had the twins, and it was kind of an all hands on deck situation with my family and stuff. They were born, 11 weeks premature. So we spent the first 7 weeks of their lives in the NICU. And it was a very, I don't know, it changed my perspective on everything.
Absolutely. And I was like, I was 3 months premature, actually. Were you? So I probably shouldn't be here realistically, but but I know exactly what you're coming. I know exactly where you're coming from. Yeah. It changes everything.
Yeah. I got him home, and I was like, I need to be here. You know, I need to be here for her. I need to be here. And I don't think it's fair for me to ask a band to work around my schedule, because I know what it's like to be in a band. And if you want to do anything with it, it's a hustle and a grind and a marriage to whoever else is in your band. And like, you've all got to be pulling the same direction. And I was like, I gotta be here. I'm like, so if I want to play music, what other choice do I have? I started picking up my guitar, writing songs. And then in 2017, you know, I've been playing guitar for, I think, maybe 6-7 years, but I was always a singer before. But then I started writing songs. I posted one of them on Facebook, me just playing acoustic on my cell phone. And I got a decent, lukewarm response to it, but it was enough to make me go, all right,
this is where I'm going to go.
Let's take a run at this. Because if you want to do music, buddy, this is how it's going to have to be for you now.
Right.
And now it's changed as the kids have grown older and there's a little more free time and stuff like that. Like if the perfect opportunity came to join a band or something like that, I might be interested in taking a look at it. But yeah, I was mostly in bands, and then I decided to go solo, and I really feel like the solo project has just taken me to the next level. You know, I feel a lot better about it. I feel a lot more confident in what I'm doing, and it's just the right challenge for me at the right time. And I just want to see how far I can take it. This is kind of my goal. Meet as many cool people as I can along the way.
Absolutely.
You're doing something right, because I mean, it must be amazing to just be, you know, solo artist and hitting the numbers you're hitting, going on, you said 7-state tour, or going around 7 states. Like, that's by yourself. That's pretty impressive. That's a lot on your shoulders to figure out and to coordinate and do. and still run your socials and stuff. Like you don't have a team running your socials, right? Like,
Not at all.
nobody
No fucking
nobody
way.
nobody
No
at
team.
dustygrant.com. Like,
Yeah, it's nobody over at dustygrand.com.
Yes.
There's one guy working over there.
So man, that's just good. It's super impressive, and I hope you
Thank you.
got the heart, because that's a lot of work, man. Like, and we put in like countless hours in the last year, and there's two of us. You know, we could lean on each other, but to do it on our own while having twins, like that's impressive, dude. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think it takes I think as independent artists, I think game recognizes game a little bit, because we've all been through it and we're all in a different part of the journey. You know, depending on where we started and where we came from and what we have going on in our personal lives and all that type of stuff, but we're all still, you know, compelled to chase this art, compelled to chase this passion, knowing that it's going to be a death march, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a grind no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there are many artists anymore that have one hit song and then all of a sudden they're just rich.
No,
you know, I think we have to build it ourselves, and that's when people come to you. And by that time, I don't need your help. If I've already done the hard work and I've made it to where I've made it, I'm not anywhere close to near that point, but it has been a relentless, nonstop fucking hustle since, you know, the second I released a song in September of 2017 to now. I have not stopped. I've not taken a day without thinking about it. I mean, it's an obsession for me, but I don't feel like it's an unhealthy one. I'm energized by it and I'm excited by it. And
the music is fantastic. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, if the passion's still there, then I mean, regardless if you're doing it, like you said, thinking about it all the time, that's the key. I mean, I think once you lose the passion and it becomes work, like you said, you have a career, but then once this becomes work as an independent artist, then, you know, maybe it's time to kind of take a look and see what's going on. But I want to get to, we noticed that you don't have a full length album. Is there a reason for that? Is it just because of solo?
That's a lot of it. You know, as a solo artist, I don't have anyone to write with, quite frankly. And I don't have a ton of time to write. And I'm being completely candid and honest about this.
No.
But I don't have a ton of time to write. You know, if I have time in a day to work on my music and just sit down and write, it's maybe an hour. I would say per week. Maybe I get 3 hours to work on new material or anything like that. So I kind of got with the guy that was producing me, and I'm like, as I write them, I'm just going to record them and put them out.
Right.
So I did that. And I think the single method is, you know, you hear some of that stuff on the indie blogs and all that about, they think the formula is better to release singles.
I've read that too.
I agree with that. From what I've seen numbers wise and being more consistent in your uploading and stuff like that, the algorithm seems to reward you for that. Whether or not you want to be a slave to that algorithm is up to you.
Right.
Me personally, I want to put my passion and my project and my heart and soul in as many years as I fucking can. And if I got to fucking break my back to do it, I will. And you know, if you want to call me a sellout or whatever, I mean, fuck, eat a dick. I don't care. You know, you're not me. You're not paying my bills. You're not doing my, you know, you're not living my day to day. And until you are, it's not up to you.
No.
So yeah, I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
And then with that, your single coming out, right, this Friday?
Yeah, the single's coming out Friday. This is one I wrote kind of at rock bottom. It was a while ago, but it took me a long time to get into the studio. The engineer that I work with actually lives with someone that's an essential worker in an emergency room. So he's basically like, yeah, we're not recording. He's like, I'm going to do mixing projects and stuff or anything like that. But I had a couple demos ready to go right before that hit. So I ended up having to wait, which was another reason that I started doing the podcast thing. Cause I'm like,
what else am I?
I'm waiting for this dude. This is the producer I want to work with. This is the guy I've had. He's just my dude. He understands me. He understands my music. He understands. I've gotten the results with him that I want, and I'm cool with dancing with the one that brought me. And so this one was one that I had, and you know, I'm in a lot better place emotionally and mentally and all that now. But it was a pretty dark one. And I needed to kind of get it behind me. I'm like, I kind of need to release this one and like
just to get it out.
Yeah.
it's just one from a low point, you know, and I've had a hard time playing it live sometimes and stuff like that, just because I get into it, man. I love it. I'm passionate about it, and it resonates sometimes. But yeah, it's coming out Friday, and Up From Here was a pretty optimistic song. This one's a little less optimistic.
Little, and that's Through the Cracks. Just
Yeah.
in case I'm excited. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoy it, and that's kind of like I said, the music that I listen to. So I'm looking forward to Friday. That's I was so happy to see you releasing something and kind of put something out on Twitter. I was like, oh, this would be great. You know,
I've got that one, and then I'll probably have another single out probably around 2 months behind it, which is another. It's already done and mastered and ready. I'm just working on the artwork now, and I try to backlog things. I try to have, you know, like I was done with the Through the Cracks campaign with all the work on it, like, you know,
Right.
10 days ago. But I
Right.
gave myself
Wow.
10 days to try and do podcasts and try to come on and promote and check things at the last minute and set up little automations and stuff to measure
go.
how I'm doing stuff and trying to funnel things to the right place.
Awesome.
Because I think as musicians, it's really hard if you're not a social media genius or a marketing branding
Absolutely.
manager type person. I don't think you understand that. I don't
No.
think you understand the importance of funneling traffic and all those types of. So I've been focusing on a lot of that back end stuff, but I'm pretty much done. Like I'm ready to start working on releasing the next single already, and I haven't even released Through the Cracks. So I'm trying
Keep
to
it
stay
going.
ahead.
Momentum. Yeah.
And then once I have, it goes back to the question you were talking about the singles. It goes back to, you know, and then once I have enough, I'll make a CD with the last 5 that I recorded and make it an EP so I can hand it out at shows, you know,
Yeah.
if we ever get to play shows again.
Yeah, ever again. Yeah.
No kidding, eh?
Okay, there's a minute left. So basically, you want to give yourself a shout out to your website. It's dustygrant.com.
Yes.
Beautiful website. Well done. And buy a koozie.
Yeah, go on there,
I might buy a koozie.
I know, eh?
It's just
Yeah,
just so I can
the-
hold a beer and be like, is this, you know, just for that.
Though, yeah, the website has been the best resource. It's easy. It's dustygrant.com, and you can find everything: podcast, music, socials, anything you possibly need for. It's that website is the hub, and you can find everything there. So I try to make it easy for people.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, Dusty. I really appreciate
Thanks,
this.
buddy.
We both
Yeah.
do. And
Appreciate you
let's
guys.
do it again.
We'll
Yeah.
be in touch
Absolutely.
for sure. Hey,
Thank you guys.
All
Have a
right.
great
We'll
day.
talk to you soon.
You
Yeah.
too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.